Welcome to Stars Podcast. Through self-defense, mixed martial arts, nutrition, family, and all things in between, we share our journey of how we hack our mind and body to get the maximum return out of each day. Thank you for joining us. Enjoy the journey. Hey guys, welcome back, Stars Podcast. This is Ron Jordan. We have a special guest joining us today. He is the two-time Nogi Pan gold medalist, three-time Fight to Win champ, and current brown belt light heavyweight Nogi Masters champ, and current Sapateiro 205-pound champ, Emil Fischer. Emil, you there?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, good. How are you doing today?
Doing well. Is there any echo?
I don't hear anything.
Okay, good. Just making
Yeah,
sure.
sounds clean.
Yep.
Cool, man. Appreciate you calling in.
Not a problem. I just got done training down in Columbus, and I got like an hour and a half drive left, so I figured as good of a time as any to knock out a podcast.
Heck yeah, man. No, I certainly appreciate jumping on real quick with you. So you're down in Columbus. What are you getting ready for?
So I have a Sapateiro coming up at the end of September. I don't know if you're familiar with Keith Krikorian.
I've been brushing up today.
Yeah, so Keith Krikorian's really fucking good. And I was initially supposed to go against Tex Johnson to defend my my Sapateiro title, but Tex Johnson withdrew with ample notice, and I'm not trying to knock Tex at all. But he withdrew, so they were looking for a replacement, and apparently Keith Krikorian decided that he wanted to step up. I mean, he's a lot smaller than 205 pounds, but I know he's very capable of winning, so it'll be an interesting match. Yeah,
So what's the difference between the two games that you have to kind of pivot right now and make a change in your training?
Well, the nice thing about it is, the change was made a long time ago. Like, the pivot was basically that preparing for Tex with the people that I have to get ready with is far more difficult than preparing for Keith. Keith's skill set is I think that between Keith and Tex, I would be statistically more likely to beat Tex than I would Keith, just because of the fact that rule set he is so good at. And stylistically, I think he'd be a problem for me. But I think that all my training partners and all the people that I have access to are more similar to Keith than they are to Tex. So it's actually a positive pivot, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, it definitely makes a lot of sense. And the rule set difference, what exactly are you looking at in the rule set that makes that change for you?
So, it's a EBI style rule set with your 10-minute regulation and then overtime with ride time. Keith is, I think, one of the best in the world at that skill, and he's very tough to submit. So, if it goes to overtime, I'm going to have my work cut out for me. That being said, Keith's regulation game, as well as his overtime game, is that of like a 170-pound elite wrestler who does jiu-jitsu. And I train with many, 150 to 180 elite wrestlers. So as a result, just preparing for the match is much more straightforward, whereas Tex is a gorilla who breaks people's legs.
Right.
And I don't have many people around that have that kind of attribute set. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So you're more your training partners, let's just for lack of better terms, look like Krikorian.
More so than they do Tex.
More so than Tex. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Sure.
Yeah, I was looking up at the Sapatorian Sapateiro, sorry, the competition there, and that seems to be, I don't want to say fairly new, but
No, Sapateiro's been around forever.
It's been around forever.
Yeah, so Sapateiro made their mark back during the early EBIs. as kind of a feeder slash kind of trial ground for future EBI competitors. Like Gordon Ryan's a former Sapateiro champ. Wagner Roach is a former Sapateiro champ. I know that I believe that Gary Tonin has been on Sapateiro. Oliver Taza, Ethan Krellinston, John Calistine, I think, maybe was on Sapateiro, or at the very least has some ties to it. And I mean, Sapateiro's been around, I believe, since like 2014.
Gotcha.
I think. Like, they've been around for a while, and I initially linked up. I don't know if you know any of the history there, but Josh LeDuc was who owns Sapateiro. He's the Seth Daniels of Sapateiro, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense for sure.
He is.
I actually listened to your podcast with him.
Yeah.
Star Lord.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, him. So he was the last person to submit me in professional competition. And after that, we became very good friends and have since collaborated on a lot of stuff. And then the big thing was 2018 when I initially won the adult purple belt title at Fight to Win. At that point, he offered me a shot because he wanted to bring Sapateiro back in 2019. So he offered me a shot at the Sapateiro light heavyweight title, the 205-pound title. And he had me go against Joe Bays, who actually last night won the Fight to Win black belt Masters light heavyweight title.
Okay.
I mean, Joe's a fucking legend. And quite frankly, like, for me to get to go against Joe at Sapateiro was the dream come true because, like, I've been following Joe since I was a white belt and he was an ADCC vet at that point. So, like, it's kind of a cool, things have kind of come full circle. Joe's become a very good friend, and, and now I'm going to be defending my Sapateiro belt against Keith Gregorian next month.
Yeah, it's got to be interesting too to be in it for so long that now you're up against the guys that you looked up to.
Yeah, it's a super crazy feeling. Like, I've competed against some guys that I've been watching, for a long time.
Yeah,
and it's kind of crazy to think about that.
And having success against them.
Yeah, I mean it's been good. It's been really good. My match last Friday night at Fight to Win was my first pro loss in like 2 years.
You're very busy in the circuit too. So it's not like you're taking a lot of time off in those 2 years. Like you're very busy in the competition world.
Yeah, so I believe that if you want to be a competitor, you have to be a competitor. Like, I think a lot of people will do they'll think that, okay, I'm just going to get ready for the big tournament. I'm going to do Pans this year. That's going to be my big tournament, and that's the only thing I'm going to do all year. And don't get me wrong, there's some people who do succeed at that. But for me, it's my opinion and experience that the more you compete, the better you get at competing. And when I say pro tournaments, I'm referring specifically to, tournaments or matches that carry, that you have to be invited to and that carry some sort of prestige or cash prize. That being said, I've lost plenty at local tournaments, things like that, in preparation for bigger things. Like, what I'll do is I'll go to local tournaments and I'll throw myself in the fire constantly, and very often I will field tactics and techniques that I plan on using in my next pro match. I'll field them at those, and sometimes it doesn't work out. I lose quite a bit. I just don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, I
I
do, but
think
I don't.
I think it's a great training tactic as well. I mean, I've used the same sort of tactic. If you don't know my background, I'm more into the running scene. I've recently become more of a jiu-jitsu enthusiast, is what I like to call it. And you know, we always talk about immersing ourselves in an environment where you'll kind of replicate what you'll see in the big one, we'll say, and that's what you're doing. You know, you're replicating what you will likely see, and you become more comfortable with it, and things become,
Right.
you know, things just become slower for you, and your reaction time becomes quicker as a result. I mean, they
Yep.
talk about it all the time in professional sports. So
Yeah, I mean that's the big thing, and like like just lately within the past month, a little bit over a month now, I've been trying to go weekly, and like when I'm driving back from right now, I just got done training. I don't know if you're familiar with Dante Leone.
yeah,
Um, I just got done training with Dante, and Dante's number 4 in the world at his weight, number 8 pound for pound, and he's been like one of the guys that teaches at his gym. And I had like a little bit of a rivalry a while back, and we became friends. Like that's kind of a common theme for me, like where I wind up becoming friends with former opponents, at least the ones that like kind of have a sense of humor about stuff.
yeah, you'd have to have a
And
sense of humor going up against you, based on some
you
of the things I've
know,
seen.
if you don't, that's too fucking bad. You're not gonna sub me.
Bro, I freaking love it. I mean, you're unforgettable. We'll say that.
Yeah, and that's the whole. It's performance art, man.
It is. It's and that's the part that I think that some people, like, it rubs them the wrong way. But shit, again, at the end of all of it, it's a show, and you're a professional at it, and you're having a little fun. So I don't knock you for it whatsoever. But what I've seen on your recent post on Instagram, and why I really wanted to reach out and talk with you, was not only just to go over what you've been accomplishing in the circuit, but also the commentary that you received at Fight to Win recently.
Yeah, I mean,
You be careful out there.
yeah, I am. I mean, here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I am one of the most prolific writers in the sport. I write for Jiu-Jitsu Time. I write for Jiu-Jitsu Magazine. I write for GReviews.net. I write for some like smaller blogs and stuff. I've written probably about 1,000 articles. I know how to write very well. I'm not dumb. I just fuck around a lot.
Yeah.
And flow grappling. Like there's a couple people at flow grappling that don't like me. I know for a fact that Howell Teague does not like me. And I believe there's at least 1 or 2 other people in that company that dislike me fairly significantly. And it's funny because like I've never been anything but nice to them, but whatever. And the thing is, I don't like flow grappling because I feel like they are a leech on the back of the sport. But I'm not one to start a fight with somebody that hasn't done anything wrong directly to me. Like I'm not big on that. Like I believe that you fucking mind your P's and Q's. But they thought it'd be a good idea to mock me about the results of my most recent match of their Fight to Win, and that was an invitation. And you don't want to invite me like that. So
bring the listeners up to speed of what went on.
Okay, so at my Fight to Win match, for anyone that didn't see it, I went against a gentleman by the name of Sloan Clymer, who trained at Keenan Cornelius' gym. Keenan Cornelius is one of the top American competitors in the sport. When he was still at lower belts, he amassed quite an impressive record as a brown belt and I believe a purple belt. He's very good. And Keenan recently started his own team, started to bring people in from other teams to live in like a fighter house, and it's a thing. It's very interesting. In the lead up to my most recent Fight to Win match, they did a lot to hype the people from that team, but they did nothing to hype the other competitors, which I thought was a little bit tacky, because the thing is that when it comes to marketing, you need to create some sort of a narrative. If it's just a one-sided match, if it's like, hey, Steve's competing this weekend. Steve's competing, well, against who? Steve's competing this weekend. Against who? You know, like, who cares? You gotta create some sort of a conflict, some sort of a narrative. And they didn't want to do that. So whatever. I went out there. I went out with a shitty strategy. My opponent, from watching his tape, has a very heavy mount and likes to go for arm triangles, and basically he likes to go for chokes using his arms around the person's neck from the front. And he's got some success with it. I'm very hard to choke like that. And when mounted, when people sit on me in that position, I have a fairly high finishing rate because I've got some sequences that I'm able to hit from there. So what I figured was that what I would do was I'd enter the match, I would get to bottom mount as quickly as possible, and I would frustrate him from there until he committed some weight to a submission, and once he committed some weight to the submission, would play my game. The thing was that he was content to just sit there and rub his chin on my face. And that was it. That was the match. And it's fine. I lost, fair and square. You know, I'm not gonna talk shit, because the reality is that if I was a judge, I would have scored it the same way it was scored. But then Flow Grappling turns around and makes a post saying something that when your opponent thinks you're a unicorn, he's a unicorn, so you squeeze his face and take his soul or something. I don't know why the fuck they would do that, but that was my invitation.
Yeah, they certainly went after you on it.
They stepped in it, man. The thing is, they got jokes. I've got facts. They've got quips about stealing souls by mounting somebody. I've got screenshots of them threatening to sue me over having a podcast, and having AJ Agazarm as one of the people working for their company when they're constantly hyping him, and all sorts of. I got a lot of shit that I've collected over the years that I just haven't released because I didn't want to create enemies unnecessarily.
Sure. But now you feel the floodgates are a little bit open.
What are they going to say to me? Please stop?
Yeah, I don't know what they could say to you. I'm not sure.
Exactly. The thing is that they've created a scenario for themselves where I can just continue doing what I'm doing. And it's only going to get worse because I've got a lot of shit. And the other thing is that, people don't realize I've got a lot of contacts, and there's a lot of people that don't like Flow Grappling and that have a lot of shit on them. So we'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I recently got into the Flow Grappling just because of Fight to Win. That's where it's broadcasted on.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I mean, it is.
I saw you throwing out their numbers too. That was interesting to me.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, again, I've got a lot of people that know a lot of things, and Flow Grappling is not doing well as a company. It is what it is, but we'll see. We'll see how they fare over the next 6 months to a year.
So let me ask you this: if you let's say it's your choice, who would you want to cover Fight to Win or anything jiu-jitsu related? Because everything goes through Flow Grappling.
Now, when you say cover,
cover in terms of televising, we'll say, or streaming.
So Fight to Win handles all their own stuff. Flow Grappling just hosts the content. That's all Flow Grappling does. They're a hosting site. So, for example, you got Third Coast, Fight to Win. You got a bunch of promotions. These promotions are owned independently, and then Flow Grappling gives these people money, essentially, to put Flow Grappling's favorite competitors at the top of the card. And then what they'll do is they'll turn around and host it on their website and own the rights to the footage. So, like, the best example is, for example, IBJJF Worlds, right? Flow Grappling does not own the IBJJF. IBJJF does not own Flow Grappling. Flow Grappling gives the IBJJF money for the exclusive rights to host the videos of the matches that take place at IBJJF. So that's what Flow Grappling does. And then Flow Grappling also hosts some unique media and content that they produce.
Yeah. So that's an interesting tactic that they use then to promote the fights. If they're only promoting one fighter, you know, if they have that exclusivity.
It's shit marketing.
Yeah, that's what I'm going after, is like, you want to create that storyline, like you said. I mean, you come from a writing background, you want to get a character.
I come from writing and marketing. So, I mean, I've worked in marketing for, at this point, about 15 years. So, I mean, I've been around the block. And the thing is that when it comes to marketing, Flow Grappling is selling to a captive audience. The jiu-jitsu community is constantly growing. Therefore, Flow Grappling viewer base and source of income is growing. However, they're not attracting spectators or interest from outside the sport.
Right.
If Flow Grappling actually wanted to build the sport, the objective would not be to market to existing customers. It would be to market to a new client base, which would the average, so let's say, wrestling fans or pro wrestling fans or MMA fans. You'd be going after that audience. But the thing is, my theory is that Flow Grappling doesn't want, and the reason I don't think they want that is because if that starts to happen and the sport actually starts to garner interest, there's a very high likelihood that companies like ESPN and FS1 would begin.
Yeah, and then Flow Grappling gets cut out then. You must be going through a bad spot. I'm losing you.
Can you hear me now?
A little bit. You're still a little chimey.
Just give me a minute.
Yep.
Man, I'm reading through the text right now. It should be better in a couple seconds here.
Yep. Yeah, we'll wait it out.
So let's just give it a second. Do you edit this after the fact?
Yeah. Yeah, I can.
Or okay. Just give me just a, looks like it's I might be getting bars again soon here.
Okay. Let me just tick the.
Sorry.
That's okay. Let me tick the timer here, just so I know where I'm at.
Okay, I got 2 bars now. Yeah, I got 2 bars now, so it should be better soon.
Clip. All right, I think you're good now. Yeah, so if it does start to gain popularity, then I mean, Flow Grappling, if they do grow the base, you know, they could run themselves out of a position.
Yep. Flow Grappling currently holds a monopoly and a stranglehold on the sport, and I think that ultimately that is part of why they're able to. It's a self-perpetuating thing. It's self-perpetuating.
Yeah. They keep the viewership at a place where they can handle it, and not big enough to where other people gain interest, other companies rather gain interest in seeing it as maybe a kind of a cash grab.
Exactly.
No, I hear you loud and clear on that.
And I think that it's shitty. I think it's a shitty thing to do to the athletes. I think it's a shitty thing to do to the sport. I think it's a shitty thing to do to the promoters. And I think that long term it's extremely harmful to the growth of the sport. And a lot of people are like, oh, you know, the sport wouldn't be where it's at without Flow Grappling. And you know what? There's, you know, any company that's going to pump money into the sport is going to do good things for the sport. But I think that the long-term harm that they're causing outweighs the positives. I think that, you know, keeping people's content under lock and key is shitty. I think that, you know, the fact that I'm not allowed to post my fight to win matches is shitty.
Yeah, they want to hold all the
Because the
promotion.
reality is that exactly, if you're gonna keep my image, you should be paying me for my image.
Yeah, I guess
So
like
there.
where I come at it from too is the fighter is the best person to promote themselves in a lot of cases. You know, you have a um, you know you know your fans, you know the people who follow you, you know what's going to make them tick, as opposed to like getting this overarching, flow grappling in this instance telling you how to promote and sometimes not even promoting you.
I mean, they don't tell me how to promote. They don't say shit to me.
Yeah.
They don't say a single word to me. They basically just, I'm on my own, and that's fine. That's fine. But then you know, don't try to mock me after the fact.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
That's not a smart move. They chose the worst. They chose the worst person to do that to.
Yeah, especially somebody who has such a big foothold in the industry. You know, you're writing for all of these publications. Have you had conversations with some of the companies that you write for about
I've
this?
already. I mean, I've done an article already about this. The thing is that Jiu-Jitsu Times wants to stay apolitical, and that's fine. Like, I'm not trying to cause any problems for Jiu-Jitsu Times. I wish that they would be a little bit more radical, but it is what it is. I write for there's a team in Texas. It's one of the biggest networks of gyms in Texas called Aces Jiu-Jitsu Club, and I do quite a bit of copywriting for them, as well as I teach classes online for them.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they basically gave me carte blanche to do some articles. So I did an article kind of talking about why, from a personal stance, why I think that flow grappling is problematic. And I mean, the thing is, I could write that article a bunch of different ways, and I could go a bunch of different ways about it. So if any of my other outlets want me to write an article for them, I will. But we'll see.
Gotcha. So you have your fight coming up in September. It's the end of September, correct? September 26th.
Yeah, the last Saturday in September.
And then that's on YouTube, correct?
That's going to be on YouTube as well as I believe, Facebook, Sapateiro's Facebook. One of the nice things and I've been like pushing this quite a bit, because the fact is that a lot of people make this point of like, if not Flow, then who? And that's a valid point. That is, like, Flow does provide a necessary service. People complain about the price, but the reality is that they're not that expensive when you consider the amount of content you have access to. So, like, I'm not just trying to shit all over Flow for no fucking reason. But the reality is that there is something that, the average jiu-jitsu practitioner can do, and that is to support shows like, for example, this evening, there's a fucking incredible show going on in Iowa, of all places. They're calling it the Woodstock of Jiu-Jitsu. And the main event of it is a 4-man, 185-pound bracket, which will feature William Tackett, who's, if you don't know who William Tackett is, look him up. He's a delight to watch. Aaron Harris, who is their current absolute champion. He's fucking amazing. Then they got, on the other side of it, Andrew Wiltsey, who is one of the hottest prospects at black belt, like one of the new prospects at black belt. He just beat John Combs. He submitted Isaiah Wright. He's amazing. And they got, rounding out the 4-man bracket, Pierre-Olivier Leclerc, who is very much a hyped Canadian grappler out of the same academy as Ethan Crownson. So it's a really impressive card. I don't know if they are charging for pay-per-views or if they're accepting donations, but cancel your Flow membership and give them the money. Or next weekend, there's a Sapateiro card, the 155-pound bracket with the world catch wrestling title. We got the first catch wrestling title defense in over 100 years, and they're putting it on. And give your money. They're going to have a virtual tip jar. Cancel your Flow Grappling membership. Put that money in the virtual tip jar. Make it so that somebody else can come out of the woodwork and challenge Flow Grappling. That's my soapbox speech right
Yeah,
there.
and that's the thing, and that's something that we talk about here on Stars Podcast is putting our money and resources into efforts that we believe in, and that seems to be what you're doing out there. Is you're pushing that agenda.
Yeah, I think that not enough people do. I think that a lot of people are just like, well, Flow Grappling is just how it is. We're just going to have to make do with what it is. I don't think that that's the smartest way to go about it. I think that, we are the sport. The competitors are the sport.
Yep.
There are no fans at this point. So let's fucking build a fan base and let's do something. Let's do something real.
And when is the competition out in Iowa? When is that?
That's today.
It's today.
That's today. That's like that card is going on tonight. Look up Sub Spectrum.
All right.
Shout out George Pikeman. Sub Spectrum. That's today, man. I don't know if it's going to be coming out before that happens, and if it's not, that's fine. But I'm just putting it out there. There are things that are happening that are not Flow Grappling.
Mm-hmm.
So support those things.
Yeah, it's going on like right now. Gotcha.
Yeah, I know.
Yep.
I was considering going out there for it, but it was too close to my fight to win. I didn't want to divide my energy. It's a different rule set too.
Yeah, that's something too. What do you think about that? All the different rule sets that you have to go after. Do you like that?
I have mixed feelings about it. I think that it's a little something for everybody. And I also a lot of people complain about it. I think of it like swimming. Okay, you've got different strokes in swimming, right? Or like track, you've got different lengths. You got like relay, and you got different shit like that.
Yeah.
I think that because the fact that grappling is such a multidisciplinary sport, I think that pigeonholing it to one rule set is unfair to the athlete. Wrestling too, man. You got freestyle, Greco, catch, Indian wrestling, Turkish wrestling. You got like a lot of different options.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I don't think there's anything wrong with there being different rule sets.
But do you think that adds some complication to like getting? I'm just trying to think of it from a business aspect. If you wanted to get like the UFC or Bellator, like they have the same rule sets, similar rule sets. If you had an IBJJF, like that's one set of rule sets. Do you think that's better for a marketing standpoint? So you get more people going after the same titles?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I think that IBJJF and ADCC are the two dominant rule sets, and then EDI is kind of its own special thing that has really garnered an underground following. So there's that, but I think that ultimately it's a part of the gimmick.
Mm-hmm.
Think of it like in pro wrestling. You got your different, you got your ladder matches. You got different shit like that.
I guess it's a different cup of tea for different fan bases.
So yeah, like you had shit like Pride or the early UFC's no time limit. There's all sorts of different ways to do it, and you could theoretically do it different ways. Where you have open weight, you have, no judges or whatever. Like, there's different ways to do it, and there's nothing wrong with that. From a marketing standpoint, it can be difficult, and the fact that a lot of people in the sport are kind of bitches in that they don't want to compete in a rule set that's not their favorite rule set.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm honestly not crazy about the fight to win format because of the fact that it's only 6-minute matches. I don't think that's cool. I think that 6-minute matches is not enough to really, get off the strategy. I think matches should be at least 10 minutes long.
Do you think that has to do with the fact that they need to run through a lot of matches? or what?
I'm not knocking club. I'm not knocking fight to win. I'm not saying that it's not. They do it for a reason.
Yeah.
I think as both a competitor and a spectator, I want to see a full-blown strategy play out. I feel like with 6 minutes, you don't have enough time for a full-blown strategy. Similar gripe I have with Submission Underground, which is another organization that's kind of doing a modified EBI rules with 5-minute regulation and then overtime. A 5-minute regulation between Mason Fowler and Craig Jones is not worth watching.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, it takes those guys at least 10 minutes just to get warmed up.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
For me, in my most recent match, I don't know if you saw it, but towards the end, his grip was tiring out. And it was only fucking 5 minutes or 6 minutes. And it's like, yes, you can hold on for dear life for 5 or 6 minutes. Can you hold on for dear life for 10 minutes? We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah. Yeah, the 10-minute match would certainly play into your favor in that respect. But
well, again, I haven't been submitted since Josh submitted me back in 2018, January 2018. I've not been submitted a pro match. I've been subbed in like local tournaments when I fucked around and kind of gave people shit just to see if I could get out of it.
Yeah.
But as far as like if there was money on the line, I have not tapped. And it's funny because like Flow Grappling loves to make fun of me, but they have, I think, 14 videos of me on their website, and not a single video of me tapping. I don't know. Kinda
0.
weird.
Hey, speaking of websites, I saw you on Rockfin. What is Rockfin and what is it?
So Rockfin is a website that it's basically premium content. You got guys like me, LeDuc, Jordan Burroughs, Ben Askren. I think Shale Sonnen has a page on there. There's a bunch of really good, both instructional and there's like different content. There's some comedy on there. There's all sorts of different stuff. It's basically like a YouTube premium type of thing.
Okay.
The thing is, it's $10 a month. You can find me at rockfin.com/Emil Fischer BJJ. And I put out instructional content. I actually haven't done any in a while just because I've been super busy with stuff. But what I do is I'll do 5 to 10 minute instructional videos covering detailed breakdowns of some of my techniques and tactics. The nice thing about Rockfin is that you can get on there, you get on it wherever you get on it, and then you have access to all the content on there, which is really cool. So, like, you pay $10 a month and you have access to everybody's stuff. So it's my stuff, LeDuc's stuff, Steve Hordinsky, who's another really good instructor. There's a 10th Planet Gym in Denver that has a page on there. And so there's that. And then they pay the content creators in a cryptocurrency, and they're able to actually pay us quite generously for what we're doing. So it's a really cool way to support instructors that you want to support. So that's what I do that as one of my online programs that I teach for.
Okay. Have you seen an uptick in online platforms, wanting to see, more instructionals? Have you increased, or you just busy in the competitions?
So, I mean, because the fact that, like, normally what I do is I'll record my instructional stuff right after training. And because I wasn't really training for a couple months, I didn't record a whole lot of stuff, and now I kind of got out of the habit of doing it. And plus, the culture of the gym is a little bit different now because the fact that they have to follow some guidelines for COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's a bit of a mess right now, honestly.
Yeah, I hear you on that.
It is what it is. I think that if anything, this has shown us that online or remote teaching methods need to be improved. Like, Like, people need to get better at teaching remotely. People need to get better at learning remotely, because who knows when and if this is going to happen again, or what's going to happen long term with jiu-jitsu. I think that it's tricky, man. I think it's a really tricky situation. I think that actually, again, I on that ACES site that I was telling you about, that I wrote about flow grappling, I also wrote 2 pieces. One about the benefits of online training to beginners, and then one about the benefits of online training to more experienced practitioners. And the fact is that we can all benefit from tape study and from watching instructionals, and from even, like, for example, one thing I've really gotten better at is demonstrating technique on inanimate objects. Like, learning
What's the most creative?
I mean, I use a stool, a little stool that I have. I just use that, and I can show De La Hiva, I can show butterfly guard, I can do all sorts of drills and techniques with it. Another thing I've played a lot around with was an MTE top. You can do all sorts of things with that. I mean, you can use anything, any sort of station.
Get creative for sure.
Yeah, and it's interesting, like, trying to teach people that don't know my game, or that don't really know the techniques that I am teaching them. It's interesting trying to, like, explain it to them. I'm really lucky. My wife has been willing as, like, a dummy for me to use for stuff. So she's been good about it.
Have you? This is anecdotal, but have you ever, or not ever, but do you notice you're able to retain some more information quickly or quicker when you're trying to teach somebody? Like, so you learn a technique, and then you have to teach that technique. Do you find that you learn it quicker by teaching it as well?
Absolutely. So when you teach, it's one thing. It's to me, it's the equivalent of, like. So one of the best classes I took in high school was a history class, a world history class. And the way that the teacher did the class, it was very lazy, but I learned a lot in the class. He read us the textbook, and we were instructed to write down everything he said. And then it would be open book tests at the end of the semester. Or open note tests, sorry. And I learned a lot by, like, copying down what this guy was saying. I retained a lot of that information. And I feel like teaching is similar, where I'm taking information that I already know, but I have to refine it to the point that I can deliver it to a layman, or to somebody that may not necessarily know as much as me. And in that process, I certainly get a better understanding of the information I'm delivering. So, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because when you fall short, your students go out there and they start doing the technique, and you're like, this is not even close. What did I miss?
Right. Exactly.
What detail did I miss?
Right. And it's kind of cool when, like, I see a student begin to kind of absorb the shit that I'm teaching, and it's like, that worked out pretty nicely.
Yeah. No, that's great, man.
Rewarding. It's rewarding on both sides, and I really do think that I learn a lot from the process.
Well, I don't want to keep you any longer. I do want to have you back on at some point, man. I want to dive a little bit deeper into some more aspects into, kind of how you got into jiu-jitsu and things like that. But wanted to kind of grab your ear and get you promoted on this upcoming fight in September. And
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And can't wait to.
I'm out here for a silly goose time, man. I'm out here for a silly goose time.
I know it, man. Hey, man, I appreciate you coming on, Emil. And for you guys out there, check him out on Rockfin. Check him out at the Sapateiro, Fischer versus Krikorian on September 26th, and anywhere that that he's writing for. I'm gonna plug all that as well in the description. So enjoy, have a safe travels, and hopefully we get to roll together at some point.
Thanks, man, for sure.
All right, take care. Bye now.
So the journey has begun. If you guys listening to our content today had any kind of value or you were moved in any way, please feel free to subscribe, pass it on, let everybody know that these two guys are the truth. They're out here just trying to do good things to make good people. Thanks.